that settles that conversation, and it's a nice way to be able to get back into the conversation of how to deal with your debts. One of the questions I've been getting quite a lot are people that are saying they are getting declined on their request for payment holidays.
Okay.
Under what circumstances would a person be getting declined for that payment holiday? Because the banks have made it available, and now they're saying to you, nah, not you.
Let me tell you, the banks are talking about payment holidays, and they say there's a line that they just throw in there quickly, and they say for qualifying individuals.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. It's not for everybody.
Which means, firstly, these payment holidays, people need to understand. When I looked at some of these contracts, some of them, it's a new loan.
Yes, I think that's the one with FNB's got this cash flow payment plan.
Relief.
Yes, cash flow relief payment plan.
So
yes.
already you feel relief.
Relief.
Yeah. Now what they do the normal credit
So the
check.
normal affordability.
Yes. So they do a credit check to check what is your standing? Are you in good standing?
Yeah.
Is your score good? Are you blacklisted? How have you been paying other credit providers? So they check that. They also check affordability. Will you be able to afford this extra cash that we are borrowing you? So it's not a let me take this off your hands like it sounds. It's not something like that. Because why would they do that?
Exactly. They're profit-making companies.
Yes. So the payment holiday will be based on, is your credit profile fine? And when you do apply for it, they want justifications. They want to know. You must get your story right. No, I'm getting half my salary or whatever the case may be. But they assess you and they want to help people who are already in good standing. That's the unfortunate part. So keeping a good credit score is vital.
Yeah.
Paying your accounts on time every month is vital. And on time means if your contract says on the 27th, don't think when you've got a grace period until the 7th of the next month. The 27th is the agreed time. That's what you need to do firstly. Secondly, you need to pay the full amount. And thirdly, you need to pay each and every month. This thing of people, I forgot to pay my clothing account, I'll pay double next month. It's affecting your credit profile because all it does, it keeps that information there for 24 to 36 months that at such and such a month, you skipped a payment.
Yes.
So on time, every month, full amount. If people keep those three things.
Yeah, we see it a lot with the freelancers or people that get contract work. People will pay a lump sum this month, skip the next 3 months, pay a lump sum. That is also bad for your credit score.
So here's the thing, Nicolette. That's why you see, as people, we need to start engaging the credit providers.
Yeah.
Not just accepting what they give us.
Yes.
There is something called deferred payment terms, where you have an agreement with your credit provider that this is how I'm going to make my payments.
Yes.
And you have an agreement how they report it to the credit bureau.
Yes.
So already when that account is open, it already shows that this kind of account is an account for deferred payments.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yes. So you don't just take the contract, read, and that's it. You read the contract and say, these agreements, they don't suit me. This interest rate doesn't suit me because. But you have to speak to the credit providers.
Yeah. Okay, no, that makes absolutely a sense. One of the other questions that I think a lot of us are thinking about right now is, so what happens to my debts if I don't get approved for this payment holiday? If I don't get the payment holiday, I can't get the cash flow relief plan. I can't pay. What am I doing? What do I do? Who do I speak to? What's the first thing that I do?
And I'm assuming this person doesn't have credit life insurance.
They definitely don't have. So they might have credit life insurance, but they're probably getting paid like half of their salary, or they are being told to take unpaid leave. You know what I mean? So they're not being totally retrenched and out of work. They're still in the working system, but they're just not getting the full salary. Or, you know, sometimes, and I see it a lot where people always work overtime. So they work overtime, and then they start adapting their life to the overtime money.
Yes.
Yeah, but so now that there's no time to be doing any overtime work, it means that you're no longer getting the income you're used to getting.
But you see, I've got a problem with a credit provider who is going to extend credit based on that kind of income.
Yeah, yeah.
You
No, but
understand
you
what
see,
I'm saying?
the issue is that let me tell you what happens a lot, that I see a lot in people's budgets, man.
Yeah.
People, when they apply for credit, they apply for credit with the right affordability. The only thing that they change is their other expenses, so their living expenses. So now the living expenses start to weigh down on the contractual debt. But when they applied for contractual debt, they were in good standing. So that's where a lot of people find themselves in trouble. And we spoke about this, that a lot of people, when push comes to shove, they are going to prioritize their living expenses before they pay their debts.
Yes. And it's a tough one, because now you are faced with an option of having to go and negotiate. Now you are writing to the credit provider to say, because of short pay, can we have a new, sort of arrangement? Sometimes
Okay.
what the credit providers would do is they would extend
The loan.
the loan term so
Okay.
that you pay less. Obviously, you're going to pay more, but at least, let's say, for example, in a case of a car, you don't get to lose it, or a
Yes.
house, that kind of
Yes.
thing. Or if the situation is really bad, Nicolette, like really bad, because now you are at the mercy of the credit provider. And
Yeah.
if the credit provider is saying, I can't accept that, I need more from you, then you have no choice but to go and seek debt counseling.
Okay. Okay.
Because then that is your option, to
Yeah.
go and seek a registered debt counselor to be able to, on your behalf, negotiate the new payment plan. Sometimes you find that it's enforcing new payment plans, but it's done through the court. And that simply means that the debt counselor is now in charge of your finances. They are the ones taking the money. They are the ones paying the credit providers, and they're paying themselves as well, because nothing, absolutely nothing, is free.
Is it possible to get into a half-baked debt counseling situation? And I know I'm pushing it right now, but I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking about the debt counseling process. And one of the things that's ringing in my head is the fact that it's probably one of the worst processes to really go through as a person. And let's not even lie, it's the last option that people should be taking. But at the same time, for over-indebted individuals, it might be the most necessary, right? Could you potentially, because a lot of people, debt is also it's a mental thing, is it possible that you could get the counselor to go and have that conversation on your behalf, but not go into the debt counseling process? So let's say you have tried, but they're not hearing you. Maybe you just don't know the language they need to hear.
So I don't think so, because remember, a debt counselor is a person of authority.
Yeah.
Authorized by the National Credit Regulator.
Yes.
So they have a voice. when you are the person who's in breach of contract. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the moment you can't afford, the credit provider sees it as breach of contract. Because when you signed, you said,
you can.
For the next 36 months, for the next 72 months, for the next 240 months, I will be able to afford this debt. So, but here's the thing about debt counseling. You know, sometimes people say, yes, but what if I put, what if my bond is part of it?
Yeah.
What we've done with the rules is to say, let's say you've got 5 personal loans, a credit card, and a home loan. Then you pay. And these 5 loans and the credit card debt are paid up.
Yeah.
They can get you out of debt counseling.
Oh, okay.
Even though the home loan, as long as the home loan is the only thing left to pay. Because otherwise, Mgana Sakaya, you are going to be there for 20 years or 30 years, actually.
So could you go in without even taking in some of the debts? Is that possible?
I've seen people do it.
Yeah.
But remember, the whole point of debt counseling is that your situation is dire.
Yeah, to rehabilitate the entire.
I've seen people who have their installments have dropped to 25 rands.
Sure.
A month. But remember, if you really get a good debt counselor, I mean a dedicated debt counselor, they would even go as far as negotiating interest on your behalf.
Yeah.
Some would say, at this point where my client is at now, can we stop accruing interest?
That's nice.
And just say, this is the balance, that is what's helping.
That's what we're going to pay.
Yes, and what I like personally when Nicolette is that when you are struggling to sleep at night because they're going to take your house, they're going to take your car, a debt counselor is going to help you with that.
Yeah.
And that a debt counselor is going to help you put food on the table instead of all your money going to the creditors.
Yeah.
You know, and it gives you that peace of mind. So there is a positive to it.
Of course, yes.
Right? But people need to understand, at what point do I go into debt review? And to go into debt review with a reputable company, if you find that, let me tell you,
you are blessed.
A
quick question. So listening to you and just my understanding of the debt review process, probably one of the most important questions then to ask is, when will this finish? When do we see an end? Because a debt counselor obviously negotiates and then looks at all the calculations, and then will say to you, okay, if we stick to this plan, we should be done by 5 years, right?
Yes, that's very, very important. And they usually work around the 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes. They usually work around the 5 years because they don't want to frustrate the person who's under debt review.
Yes.
You know, and also what's also important is to get statements.
Yes.
To understand the whole process, that your debt counselor then takes your money, it goes to a payment distribution agent. The agent will make payments every 3 months, for example.
Yes.
Right? But it's all about understanding the start to finish. Because you hear people saying, I went under debt counseling, but the credit providers are still calling me.
Yeah. So can you go into debt counseling if you are unemployed? You can't, right?
You cannot.
You have to be
employed. If you are unemployed, you cannot go under, because they need a salary to work.
Yeah, because remember, they're going to promise your creditors something.
Yes.
So there needs to be a something to promise, you know.
Nobody 13 rand.
Nobody 13 rand, China, as long as there's something. Let's quickly talk about date counseling and married in community of property. I know that you can't go in without your spouse, right?
That's correct. Remember, married in community is literally yours is mine, mine is yours. It's married in community of debt, it's married in community of shares, it's married in community of children, it's married in community of wealth, it's married in community of everything.
So if you, yeah, so if I were to apply, if I'm married in community of property and I'm applying for date counseling, my partner has to also apply. Even if he's not, I mean, essentially we both, if I'm indebted, he's indebted, right?
Yeah, so what they would usually do is the listing. Remember when you apply for debt counseling, there's that listing that goes on the credit bureau.
On the credit bureau, yes.
That sentence.
That says you can't during this time take up any more credit.
Yes. That sentence that's there, that's the first thing that pops up every time they access your credit profile, will be on your spouse's profile also.
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, I mean, yes, I fully, and I speak about date counseling and date review as one of the processes that one can follow, you know, when you're finding yourself being really indebted. But I do think it is one of the last, possibly the last, but if you are young, it may be the best way to go to decision to make for yourself, because it's actually not a bad idea to stop you from taking up any more credit if you are indebted.
That's the thing. And, you know, it's very important to, I think it's a nice way of discipline as well.
Yeah.
Because it makes you sit down and just, the only thing you're concentrating on is getting rid of debt.
Yeah.
So that's what's important for you right now. But also, what I also always say to people is, if you find yourself in a situation where they're about to repossess your house, your car, a debt counselor can help you with that process, them stopping that process.
Because they can actually, so essentially also, once you are in the debt counseling process, right, you no longer you're protected legally, right?
You are protected. I like that term, Nicolette. You are protected, and you are not limited to paying what is agreed on.
Because yeah, you can pay more.
You can pay more because you've got a bonus or a promotion, whatever the case may be. So you can pay more to speed up the process.
So essentially, to be quite honest, the negative thing is simply that status that will be on your credit report for the time being. But my phone decides to do whatever it wants. But all in all, what we're saying is, it's not a bad process to go through if you need it.
And also, what makes it bad, when Nicolette, is the debt counselors that have given a lot of other people a bad
name. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of negative has gone around debt review, where you'll find a debt counselor takes your money, but they don't pay the credit providers, or they charge ridiculous fees. So, for example, they taking 10,000 rands a month from you, 9,000 rands goes to them, and 1,000 rands is distributed amongst all your creditors. So you see, those people have given the debt review process a really bad name. And I hope consumers who have gone through those processes do report those people to the National Credit Regulator, so that their businesses can be closed down, their licenses can be taken away. Because the process in itself is meant to assist people so that they can live. Yes. It's meant to protect your assets from being repossessed.
Yeah, it breaks my heart when I hear that, there's nothing wrong with the process. The process is actually there for the interest of the people, but it's the people that are supposed to make the process easier for you, where they just mess it up, man. It's annoying. Okay, so we've gone to the worst case scenario, which is the debt review process. What else is in the middle? Let's talk debt consolidation. The
Okay.
interest rates have been cut. Is it a good time for me to consolidate if I've got loans that are too high in terms of the interest rate that I've been given?
Okay. Yes. Right? Because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
Now, here's something a person should think about when it comes to debt consolidation.
Yeah.
If you have, and I'm going to use the number 5 again. If you have 5 credit agreements, let's say it's personal loans, and with these 5 credit agreements, 2 of them are going to be paid up one in 6 months' time.
Salem, just hold on. There's a very important question here that can help us close the debt review topic. It's from Patricia
Okay.
Josie. She wants to know, what can you do if the debt counseling consultant didn't explain the process and led you to believe that you'll only be able to opt out of it or even qualify for debt consolidation? Yeah. So what can a person do?
First of all, okay, it's hard to get out of debt counseling. The one way of getting out is when everything is paid up, except the home loan and stuff like that. This or Patricia needs to report the debt counselor to the National Credit Regulator. Okay? That needs to, remember, this is a court process.
Yeah.
A court is open to go and listen to your case. That is why there is something called a rescission.
Yes.
A reversal of something.
Yes.
Do you get me? In as much as people say you cannot rescind a debt review, but the court is there to hear people out. So your first step is to go and report to the National Credit Regulator, and also you must say that you want to be heard to rescind this process, and what kind of help can the NCR do, because it's just bad. It's underhanded when you are promised one thing, meanwhile it's
You're
not the
given
other.
something. And as
Nicolette, what a debt counselor should be doing when they assess your situation, they should be looking for 2 things.
Okay.
1, over indebtedness.
Yes.
2, reckless lending.
Okay.
Right? So you are either over indebted because of wena, or you are over indebted because you were recklessly
Given money.
Yes. So those are the 2 things that they need to look for, and then start working on the reckless lending part in the sense that, okay, these need to be closed because you don't owe this company because they borrowed you recklessly, or actually there is monies owed to you because you are not supposed to pay this in the first place. So that's the work that the debt counselor needs to do a work around your situation before they say yes. In fact, Nicolette, how the process goes is you go and apply. And after, this is now when it was introduced by the National Credit Regulator. You go and you submit an application. Already your status says this person has applied. After that, they then assess. They will either approve because you are over indebted, approve, or they sort out the reckless lending, or they decline you because you are not over indebted.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
So people who are not over indebted, in essence, should be declined.
Yeah. Okay. Kenny says, since we're talking about debt cancelling, we know that interest shouldn't be charged for people who have reached in duplum. Does the rule apply until the credit is paid up, or can your situation change?
Your in duplum is tricky, very, very tricky. Okay. And I would be comfortable if a lawyer explains in duplum.
That's fine.
Basically what in duplum means is, at the time of you defaulting, in fact, in duplum applies to collection.
Okay.
Yes. Now, when your debt has been taken for collection, either attorneys or debt collectors. At the time of you defaulting, let's say you owed 5,000 rands.
Yes.
The in duplum law says, if by the time they come to collect, whatever interest and fees that they charge should not be more than double what you owe at the time of default.
Okay. So if I owe 10,000 rand, whatever the interest, when I defaulted, I owed 10,000 rand. Whatever, when they come back, let's say they come back. So it goes with the prescription law, I'm assuming, because by the time they come, if they do come within the prescription law years, so they come maybe 2.5 years, the interest and the fees cannot be more than 20,000.
Correct. But here's the thing now. Now you pay. So the question that
is, do the interest carry on when you start paying?
So here's the thing now. So now you're paying.
Yeah.
And then you default on that arrangement.
Ooh.
They can rework.
Oh, no. Okay, no, that's terrible.
So now we don't want you to now cry in duplum again.
Oh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you find we have arrangements and then people default on the arrangement.
Because by the time you are
that's where the problem.
Yeah, because an arrangement, the new balance of an arrangement is probably going to be higher than what you originally defaulted on. Okay, no, we'll do in duplum again in full. But let's go to Asive. Yes. Asive, the villager, says, Nicolette, I got out of debt cancelling by breaking that contract because it was a rip-off. Now I'm done paying my debts by myself. So the problem is now the red flag on my credit report. What can I do to get it removed?
Okay, so, and maybe the debt counselor is sour, ne? Because
of course, so the debt counselor is not going to give the clearance certificate. She needs a certificate.
She needs a clearance certificate, and if the debt counselor is sour, and a clearance certificate is something that says your debts are paid up.
Yeah.
Look,
to give to the credit bureau to remove the red flag. Bureau.
Okay, so that one would be a valid complaint to the National Credit Regulator.
Perfect.
Yes. And when Asive lodges that complaint, Asive must take the proof of payment.
Okay.
Proof of payment, whether it's settlement agreements or whatever the case may be. And people, and also just to add a bit there as well, people must not be afraid to ask for a settlement negotiation.
Yeah, definitely. That's my thing, man. That's my thing. Listen, let's just get a settlement, my friends. Let's not do this monthly payment thing. If I'm owing 10,000 and you can give me a 7,000 settlement, I'm taking it. You know?
Yes,
definitely.
So it's especially when you're in a position to pay up stuff. Ask for settlement agreements.
Yeah.
They're happy to give that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit. Kumkani says, how long will it take for the red flag on your credit record to be uplifted for you to qualify for credit again?
20 business days from the time of submission.
Perfect. And after
20
that?
business days. Remember, the credit bureaus need to verify that it is indeed the case, but whether or not they have done their work in 20 business days, it's not the consumer's problem. That must be off.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get back to debt consolidation.
Yes. Now you have these 5 credit agreements. 2 of them or 3 of them are ending at the end of this particular year. Now, is it wise to then go and take a new loan for 5 years when you would have finished in a year or so?
Of course
so
not.
It's all about the 5 years that you are contemplating versus where you stand with your existing loans. If they are still far, then it's fine. By all means, you might even come out better at this time.
Yeah. Also, what I found, sorry to cut in there, what I found is that because of the way loans are structured, most of the interest is paid up in the early years. So by the time you're finishing off, you're not really paying interest anymore. You're now really tackling the principal amount. And generally, a lot of the financial institutions are open to restructure or renegotiate the interest rate because it doesn't matter to them. They've already collected as much as they can collect from you anyway.
Correct. It's correct. If with home loans as well, for the first couple of years, you're literally just servicing the interest.
Yes.
So when you are near the end, I mean,
don't restart something new.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also, I must say, a consolidation loan can make your credit profile look good.
Of course.
Because
it's almost like a cleanup. It's an express cleanup. Yeah.
Because now, all of a sudden, your credit profile has a couple of paid up statuses.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does this to your score.
Yes.
It boosts it.
Yeah.
So it has its positives. And I know people struggle to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for them to pay one installment.
Yeah.
And it looks less because now when you add that installments, it's 8,000 rands, but this one is 6.5, for example. So all of that comes into play, but timing is very important.
I think the other thing that I was told by one of the banks of why a consolidation loan could be something to look into is also the account management fee. I mean, if you're paying the most on all of them, you're paying what, 69 rand? If you've got 5, if you multiply 69 by 5 every month, it's almost what, 300 and something that you're paying just on account fees.
Yes.
Yeah, which could have been money that you can put somewhere else.
And I mean, these companies, they offer really competitive interest when it comes to consolidation loans. So it's not a bad idea. It's all about the time that you take it.
Yeah. Look, I call it a debt consolidation loan a morning after pill because I feel that it's a good solve. It will save you, but you can't always depend on it. Because how many times can you consolidate? And the thing is, people do that. They get a consolidation loan, then they go restart new loans again.
And also, Nicolette, I am not a believer of taking out loan to pay loan.
Yes, Nam.
Yeah, I'm not a believer. Yes, the consolidation, fine, but generally, I don't believe in borrowing from Nicolette to pay Andres. I
Yeah,
don't believe in that. But yeah, and also the mindset of cleaning up your credit record so that you can go back into debt. Again, I kind of have an issue with that. I think we must now move to a point where we have better reasons for wanting a
yeah,
good credit score
definitely,
other than
definitely.
wanting to go back into debt.
In actual fact, I was saying to a couple of ladies that having a good credit score should become one of their financial goals. And how do you work towards that specific financial goal is now making sure that you are living within your means, you are reducing your debt, you're cleaning up your debt. Because now if you're cleaning up your debt to take up more debt, then you're not working towards the goal of having a good credit score. So I think for a lot of people who do not have a good credit score, that should be a financial goal. Yes, people might think it's counterintuitive because we shouldn't be fighting to get access to credit. But one day you will need access to good credit for a good reason. And you don't want to have to do. I hate this thing where people say to me, how long will it take me to get a good credit record to buy a house? And then I'm like, don't do that. Just have a good credit record, because every single time you need to get access to credit, you now need to do cleaning up and spring cleaning.
Yes.
It's almost the same as people who go and pave their parents' home when there's a funeral at home. But during the rest of the time, I pave.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
that's true. And the thing is, when Nicolette, um, there are people who are declined jobs because of
exactly.
bad credit.
Exactly.
So, and also the reason why we are paying so much interest on debt is because of a not so good credit.
Credit score. Mm.
So there are many reasons for a good credit score other than, and the only time people are interested in having a great credit profile and a great score is when, bless you,
Thank
a
you.
credit provider has said no.
Yeah. Look, we've got 5 minutes in this hour, so I need to